let everyone populate. Good evening, everyone. We're getting ready to reconvene here. In just a minute, we'll get started, and we'll turn it over to Mariana in just a second for her announcement, but let's wait till we're caught up and we'll make the announcement.
You want me to make the announcement?
Just hold on one second, please.
Okay.
Let's get everything. As soon as Jenny gives us the thumbs up, we'll jump on in there, Mariana.
Okay. Vamos.
And you're holding steady right now. We're caught up.
All right, Mariana, go ahead and make your announcement, please.
Ok. Hola, buenas noches a nuestra audiencia latina que quiera escuchar esta reunión en español o cualquiera que así quisiera escuchar esta reunión en español con traducción simultánea. Lo pueden hacer eligiendo un icono que dice, un globito que dice interpretación, y ahí seleccionan si quieren escuchar español o inglés si fuera viceversa. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. So bend over your heart, turn to the right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everyone. Yeah, action-packed agenda tonight, so let's hop right in. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? Not
I
everybody
move we
wants.
approve the agenda for the meeting tonight.
Thank you, Jeannie. Wait a second, please.
Second.
Was that Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you, Kelly. Any discussion from the board on the agenda? Questions, concerns? Public comment on the agenda?
You have public comment.
On the agenda, great.
And just a reminder, this is for public comment for items not on the agenda.
Nope,
and
this is actually the approval of the agenda, actually. We're not even there yet. This is just
so Stephen Schmitz, if you could lower your hand and re-raise it if you actually want to comment on the agenda itself, correct? So it looks like he does want to comment.
Okay.
So Stephen, you have the floor. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Stephen Schmitz, and I wanted to read something that I wrote to the Press Democrat that was published on February 19th.
Sir, is this about the agenda?
This is for public comments on the agenda itself, not for public comment not on the agenda.
Right. I said I want to comment not on the agenda.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and put your hand down, sir, and we'll call on you in just a minute when we get to the next item. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. All good. Bring it back, unless there's any other comments, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the board for a vote. A roll call vote. Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
And Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries. Now we're going to move on to input from the public regarding items not on the agenda. So Mr. Schmidt, this would be your time. Anyone else that wants to comment on an item not on the agenda, please raise your hand so that Jenny can put you in the queue and we can call on you.
Well, I see Stephen here. He doesn't have his hand raised, but I'm going to go ahead and there he is. Stephen, and you guys are good with 3 minutes? There's only 2 commenters. You're on mute, Patrick.
Yes, ma'am. 3 minutes sounds good. With we have 3 now, but yeah, we're good.
All right. And first commenter is Stephen Schmitz, followed by Shelley, then Chris Turner. Stephen, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Stephen Schmitz. I wanted to read a letter to the editor that I wrote that was published in the Press Democrat on Saturday, February 19th, 2022. And the title of it was A Union of Two Schools. As a parent of a freshman student at West County High School, I am heavily invested in the future of the school, including the name. With the ongoing controversy over whether West County High should revert to the name Annalee High School, I wonder if we should consider a name that does not have any baggage. Why not simply Union High School? The word union is literally right in the middle of the name of the school district, West Sonoma County Union High School District. One of the definitions of the word in the dictionary is an act of joining two or more things together. How perfect is that? Annalee and El Molino High have joined together into one new high school. The new name? Union High School. I understand the history associated with both schools. Nobody wants to lose that. However, there needs to be a compromise. The school board should seriously consider renaming West County High Union High School. Let's bring the entire community back together with a completely new name for our school, Union High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shelley.
I don't know how you're gonna raise your hand.
Shelley, can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I'm pleased to hear that the West County High School District is finally recognizing mask choice for students. However, I was surprised to learn that it would be almost 2 weeks before this new policy begins. I'm an advocate for implementing mask choice immediately. Our children have suffered long enough. The data is clear and easily accessible now. Kids are at virtually zero risk for serious injury or hospitalization from COVID. I'm an educator myself and have seen firsthand these past 2 years that it is teachers and unions who are driving these decisions for students in the classroom. There are numerous protective measures that teachers can take for themselves if they so choose. Students are being forced to endure physical and psychological injuries so adults can feel safe. This is nonsensical. All of us in the school system have been forced to participate in a masking experiment, and the results are in. It doesn't work. Enrollment reports have proven that kids still get sick, even when masked. Even worse, the physical ailments, anxiety, and emotional distress that this generation has suffered from mask wearing will have detrimental and long-lasting effects. I ask this board to be brave, follow the scientific data and the law, listen to the concerns of parents and teachers who see the negative impact masking has had on our kids. Mask choice needs to start now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next commenter is Chris Turner. You can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, testing.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, I'm also calling for the same subject. I'm happy to hear that many schools in California are now recognizing the CDC's updated guidance, and being that we've already learned following other cases that took this issue to the state, when the state, it was determined, was not actually responsible for the mask guidance being implemented or enforced in schools. And so I'm hoping that you guys can take some time to get this changed immediately. The students have waited long enough. They've suffered, and they have also been the first defense. Rather than us protecting them, they have been told they are protecting us, and that's not right. So we're hoping many parents are finally, it's hard for us to make it to these meetings. It's been hard to even sometimes get in and logged in, and thank you for taking the calls. We're hoping that you guys will get right back into in-person meetings where the parents can join together and be more involved in these decisions. But for the moment, please just consider what the last caller had said. I would reiterate that, and not delay in allowing mask choice to begin immediately. Also, I just hope you guys are informed that it really isn't up to you to decide what goes into or onto the bodies of the children at the school. The parents already have that right. It's been an uphill battle trying to get people to recognize that, and really enough's enough. So the delay needs to be no more, and we'd be happy to see their smiling faces back again. There's plenty of other safeguards for people who don't feel comfortable with that yet. And I guess that's all I'm here to do. And so good luck with that. And we are putting that into your hands.
Thank you for your comment. Patrick, there was one other person who raised their hand. Do you want to take that public comment? I would also like to remind everyone that the mask conversation is on the agenda. It is not an item that is not on the agenda. So if you're wishing to speak to that, it will be discussed under the COVID updates. So would you like me to take that additional hand?
Yes, ma'am. And you stole my thunder. I was about to say that is on the agenda. We are going to talk about that. I appreciate everyone's comments on that. But if this gentleman wants to speak, by all means, let me.
The floor is yours, Mr. Greg Hay.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make a comment regarding masks and vaccines. And this is direct.
Greg, I'm going to stop you because we are going to talk about masks and the COVID update. We let the other two go, and Ginny just announced.
Oh, okay, so you don't want to address that right now?
Well, it's on the agenda, sir, so we're going to come back to that. So
that's a better time to address that?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
And Mr. Stephen Schmitz, you've already spoken on items not on the agenda, so we only allow you to speak at one point. So,
okay, moving on to the consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar for tonight's agenda?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
Thank you, Angie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Anyone from the board have questions, concerns regarding the items on the consent calendar for tonight? Okay. Anyone from the public with comments, questions, concerns about items on the consent calendar for this evening? Seeing none? Oh, was that too quick? Oh, no.
No, I sorry, we said at the same time.
Got it. Okay, bring it back for a vote. Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Ayala.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries. We will proceed ahead to action on items heard in closed session. Julie.
Okay, I have a few things. I move to approve the recommendation of the administration and student discipline case number 821-22.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. Go right to roll call vote, right? We don't take comments on this, right? Okay. Trustee Ilo?
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. That motion carries 5-0.
Okay, during the previous closed session, the board acted to authorize the district superintendent or designee to notify 10.85 FTE temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code Section 44954B that they will not be reemployed for the 2022-2023 school year.
Okay.
And the roll call vote was Trustee Nagel, aye. Trustee Fernandez, aye. Trustee Aiello, aye. Trustee Lewis, aye. Trustee Noe, aye. Yes, 5, no, 0, and absent 0. And the last item, I move to approve a request from John Gretsch for an unpaid leave of absence, including his request under Article 9.38 of the WSCTA bargaining contract.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go right to a vote. Trustee Ilo?
Aye.
Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. And that is it for items on
That's it.
action taken on in closed session. Thank you, Julie. We will go to reports and we will start with Mr. Dylan Pena Perez.
you hear me? Good evening, everyone. Not much has happened since the last time we met because of the short period of time. But the girls basketball team made it to the third round of NCS playoffs and put up a strong game against Alhambra. The girls team also made it to the CIF state championship game and played against Buchanan on 02/29. This game unfortunately marked the end of the 2022 basketball season. Related to sports, track and field had their annual pentathlon yesterday night. This event is basically like a practice track meet in which athletes do different events and get timed in order to strategically place them in different events for league track meets. The events in which athletes participated yesterday were the 800 meters, 200 meters, 100 meter dash, throw, and long jump. Thank you to all the parents and community members who made time to help Coach Mark set up for this event. This is a reminder for students to sign up by March 4th for the talent show, which will be hosted by the ASB leadership class of West County High School. Sign-up sheet is located outside of room 2, and the talent show is next Friday, March 11th. In addition to all of this, I want to thank Emma McNabb, Lars Lundekvist, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, and Jose Rodriguez for putting together an amazing video regarding the use of cell phones at school and the new phone policy. If you haven't watched the video, you can find it posted on the leadership's Instagram at WCHSASB_. Last week we had a choir performance at West County High School in the auditorium. The variety show, as it was called, served to raise awareness regarding LGBTQ youth suicide prevention. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but teachers and students say the choir class did an amazing job performing. Speaking of shows, the West County Dance Company is currently having a dance show tonight at the El Molino Performing Arts Center. If you weren't able to attend today, don't worry, because they'll be performing Music in Motion tomorrow and Friday at 7 p.m. On a different note, speeches from students running for an ASB position will be held tomorrow during advisory. Freshmen, sophomores, and juniors will be heading out to the quad to listen to the speeches and then vote. Finally, the leadership class is working hard to organize fun events for West County. We are currently working on a club day event on March 17th. Talent show, juniors are organizing prom, and the seniors are coming up with a senior gift idea to give to the school as the first graduating class of West County High School, symbolizing unity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who do we have for the association reports tonight out there?
Got Lily here.
Okay, great.
Lily, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, Superintendent Hope Ace. We're glad to have you on board for this spring. My name is Lily Smedshammer, and I teach English learner and Spanish classes at West County High. I'm also the president of the Teachers Association and would like to talk to you about some of the programmatic process being made in the district, as well as to continue to encourage you to authorize a significant salary offer for our negotiation session this Monday. The Teachers Association is very encouraged by the effort to improve our independent study program. This program was brought into the district under the leadership of former Assistant Superintendent Charbonneau with the plan that it run with no district teacher involvement. This was understandably unacceptable to our association. Ultimately, we convinced the district to assign teachers to the independent study program, which is the practice of all of our surrounding school districts. However, with the all-online platform and its implementation, we've continued to see issues. The WSCTA wants to express gratitude to Mia Del Preti and former interim superintendent Dr. Evans for spearheading the effort to ensure our independent study program upholds our district's reputation for excellence in education and commitment to personal connection for our West County students. Of course, the best way to ensure our reputation continues into the future is to take care of the employees who run the programs for students. When I last spoke to you, we had just held our first negotiation session the week prior. At that meeting, we presented signature commitment sheets signed by all of our members to show their commitment and unity in the negotiation process. Our members are united and are suffering under the yoke of low wages and the skyrocketing cost of living in Sonoma County. There's no reason why West County Union should continue to pay our teachers 23% less than the average high school district. It's intolerable and unsustainable. We are looking forward to making progress at this Monday's negotiation so that we may conclude the process well before the budget is adopted. Prioritizing staff costs, putting teachers in the budget before the budget is adopted is our goal for every negotiation cycle moving forward. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Lily. Do we have someone from the classified staff?
I do not see a hand.
Okay. And then we'll move on to the principal reports for this evening. Let's start with Principal Fernandson.
There she is. All right, Shauna, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you, even though it's just on a screen still. Okay. I have this terrible feeling that someone's going to come home and all of the dogs are going to start barking. So if that happens, I'll take a second, kick them all out of the room, and then I'll be back. Okay. I have several things that I'm going to be reporting on tonight, and I had a lot of teacher and staff input in my board report. And these are things that teachers also decided that they would like presented to the board. We have some really nice news about our ELD classes that we started last year, and that is our English language development courses. There has been a 50% reduction in failing grades for ELD students between the fall of 2020 and the fall of 2021. And the ELD coaches and teachers wanted to basically appreciate you for keeping the program intact with small class sizes and no cuts during the consolidation. So I think that that's really great news. On our sports front, we have regular season winter games finished up a couple of weeks ago. Both boys and girls basketball and soccer teams made the North Coast section playoffs. The boys team won their opening round against Albany and lost to the number one seeded team in the quarterfinals to end their season with a respectable 17-10 record. The girls team entered the NCF's playoffs as the number 2 seed. They had victories against their 2 opponents and then fell to a very good Alhambra team in the semifinals. Because they're high seed in the NCS playoffs and their overall record, they received an automatic berth into the CIF NorCal regional tournament. Unfortunately, they fell to an impressive Buchanan High School team from Clovis last night. And this is the furthest our girls basketball team has gone into the playoffs in as far as we can remember. So it was such a great game. Their overall 23-6 record is quite an accomplishment, and they should all be commended, which certainly they are. Boys soccer ended up second place in their league and qualified for the NCS tournament, but unfortunately lost to Acalanes in the first round. Girls soccer also ended up second in the league standings, qualified for the NCS tournament before losing a heartbreaker in penalty kicks at Encinal, ending their very successful season. I saw that heartbreaker of a game in Alameda, and it was great, but it's hard to watch them lose in penalty kicks. All spring sports have been going on for 3 weeks now. Baseball and softball have played a couple of games with our varsity softball team, beating Novato 10-0 yesterday. Boys volleyball won their first match against Redwood 3-0 as well. Badminton, boys tennis, boys golf, track and swimming will all start competing soon as well. We encourage everyone to come out and see our spring athletes. Schedules are available on the West County High School website. And we also had 4 wrestlers qualify for the NCS tournament last weekend based on their finish at the league tournament. And like I was starting to say, we encourage anyone and everyone who would like to come out and see some great games to please do so. The schedules are available on our website. For leadership, things are definitely getting busy in the leadership classroom, just like Dylan mentioned several things. Tomorrow on campus, we have 14 aspiring leadership students. They'll give their speeches to enter the student to the entire student body for ASB officer positions next year. That will be followed by class elections, and by the end of the month, we will have elected 30 new leadership students for next year's class. Judging by the applicants thus far, it should be a really strong class. Our seniors are hard at work planning senior events, including senior picnic for the entire class, which will take place at the end of April. And they're also brainstorming ideas for a senior gift to leave the campus and student body when they graduate. Our juniors are hard at work planning their first traditional prom in 2 years. The event will be held at the Luther Burbank Center, and they are focused on providing the best possible experience for all, particularly the seniors who have missed out on this tradition the last few years. With an estimated attendance of 500 to 700 students, there is a lot of work to do. The juniors are hosting a West County talent show on March 11th in the El Molino Performing Arts Center and are currently vetting acts that have signed up. Our sophomore class is hosting an outdoor movie night on the football field March 17th, weather permitting, and I believe that they are showing The Lorax. We have a dance show. Opening night is tonight, and the theme is Music in Motion. And it involves every student in the dance program, and it is inspired by music. The shows run tonight, and then Thursday night, Friday night. They all start at 7 p.m. There is one show on Saturday night at 5 p.m., and that show is dedicated to a local dancer, choreographer, and educator who recently passed away named Danette Heath. So if you would like to see that show, that's 5 o'clock at the El Molino PAC. And the Humboldt State dance team will be visiting our dance team on March 10th for some good clinics and probably some mentorship things. For master scheduling, we are deep into master scheduling right now. We've met with every department to discuss section allocations based on student interest in electives and required courses. We are currently cleaning up schedules, making sure students have all of their classes that they need depending on their year in school, and of course, taking into consideration all the prerequisites that are needed. We've reached out to the middle schools, and we're getting some individual information about students regarding everything from special education to LPAC scores and things like that, and trying to hear who might be interested or needing some support classes in English and math. Additionally, we are beginning to work on how to best utilize our facilities for next year to their fullest potential. We have a very large interest in ag mechanics and in culinary, and we have more interest than we have space. So we are trying to get super creative. From our counseling department, we have a successful we had great incoming support nights for families to help answer questions. And also soon releasing student checklists for freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. Lots of information about tips, making plans, tasks, and much more. A combination of college and career and academic planning will be included on this checklist. And we will be completing school-wide class signups for, well, they've already basically been completed, of our class signups for all students. We have students that are also filling out the FAFSA and the DREAM Act applications, and that is happening in our College and Career Center. College visit days on campus and the SRJC workshop on campus for every student. We've got that going on. In the English department, we have AP research students appreciate our school community's response to participating in their research projects and will reach out to respondents in the next few weeks. Our speech and debate team is participating in the state qualifying tournament this weekend. AP literature students created an extraordinary artistic representation of Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. AP language students are finishing their research projects on topics ranging from anarchy to dandelions to violent protests. That's quite a spectrum. Depending on the grade level, English students are in the midst of reading such works as Interior Chinatown, Into the Wild, and The Handmaid's Tale, and more. The English department worked with Sonoma County Libraries, Sonoma Reads, program to bring 900 copies of Interior Chinatown so that all grade levels would be able to read the same text. Thank you to Julie McClellan and Rosalie Abbott for their assistance in this. For our CTE departments, we have the allocation for the CTE Incentive Grant have that have been received, our district has been awarded just over $186,000 for the 7th round of funding. So that's amazing. And thank you to all of our staff who worked hard on that grant. Hospitality class is now articulated with the JC for the 22-23 school year. And the Maker Computer Science class just finished the 3D ARM project. And our video class is excited to have an upcoming virtual meeting with the director of Cobra Kai, which if you haven't seen Cobra Kai, you should see it. It's good. Agriculture, we have farm to table students who are getting their food handlers certifications, and all ag science students will be receiving an industry certification in the area of care of livestock. For FFA, we have 16 individuals receive their state FFA degrees. 7 students were recognized at the regional proficiency winner in the areas of forestry, sheep production, nursery production, forage production, ag sales, entrepreneurship, landscape management, equine science placement. And at this point, they are in the top 6 of the state of California. Annalise Schulten, Colton Shaw, Alonzo Vera, and Tristan Wilkes were selected as state finalists in their categories. Emily Mainers, Annalise Schulten, and Matthew Hageman placed in the top 4 of the North Coast Region speaking contest and will be moving on to the state contest on March 24th. Emily in job interview, Annalise in prepared public speaking, and Matthew in creed recitation. Vine pruning team competed at state finals for the first time ever and were 9th in the overall in the state, which is pretty amazing. The choirs have raised $2,000 for the Sage Casey Foundation last Friday at the 17th annual benefit variety show last Friday. All performing arts classes have been doing a series of mindfulness classes arranged by Casey Jones and funded through the Education Foundation. And last but not least, we are going to have our spring musical, which is Little Shop of Horrors. The show dates are April 8th, 9th, 10th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. And all of this information is on our website. There will be evening performances, and it looks like we will also have a matinee performance. The director is saying, this is Freddie Lambert, one of our teachers. He says that the students have been working super hard. Our stagecraft class has been presented with some real challenges in putting the show together. We are currently creating our Audrey 2 puppets. There are 4 of them, all in different sizes. Our biggest should stand about 6 feet tall and 8 feet long. We got to work with the band yesterday in rehearsal for the first time, and it's going to be great seeing it all come together. So that was a huge amount of information, but that really, I'm sorry it takes that long to cover much of what is going on at the school, but I'm so proud of our staff, and I'm so proud of our students and the work that they do that I just really wanted to take some time on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Allie?
Hi there. You might not hear dogs in the background. You might hear small people. I apologize. I locked them in the back room, but you know how it goes. So thank you. Thank you for asking me to speak. As always, it was a pretty challenging month for us. COVID hit us pretty hard, and it hit us late. When food services actually went out, I really want to take a minute and thank a special member of our community, and that's Jack Chauvin. Jack is on paper our campus supervisor, but in reality, he is so much more. He's our music teacher, and for 2 weeks, or for 6 days really, he was our entire food services department. So Jack wrangled up a bunch of kids, taught them how to cook, and he, for 6 days, planned, shopped, and prepared 3 meals a day for every single member of our community. He has a level of commitment that is inspiring. We love him so much, and we are so thankful for him. I hope you guys get a chance to stop by and say thank you to him in person. He's absolutely phenomenal. We've also developed a really wonderful relationship with some local vendors who have donated ingredients. And so 2 weeks ago, we started our sourdough. So we've spent about 2.5 days solid teaching kids about baking, the basics of baking. And we taught them how to make bread, how to grow the sourdough starter, how to shape bread, and how to bake it. And then they all got bread to take home and sourdough starter to take home. Now we are shifting into the science of it. And Cte Incentive, who is a science teacher that we share with West County, who's an absolute phenomenal talent in the classroom. She is actually doing a science experiment with more ingredients we had donated, and the kids are learning how to grow their own sourdough culture, which if you aren't familiar with sourdough or with yeast, it's a fungus and there's bacteria in there, and that's what makes sourdough taste like sourdough. So they are working on that as a science experiment, so you guys can stop by and we'll bake you some bread. Our gardens are also in full bloom, and the kids are currently working on a permaculture design in some of the gardens we have on campus. They're companion planting and learning about companion planting in the small orchard we have there. They're also learning to prune and to plan for sustainability. I just want to take a minute to celebrate our early college credit programs. We currently have 24 seniors in JC classes, and our extended learning plan that I talked a little bit about last week that Stacy Fortin really oversees is allowing those kids to still really be a part of our campus and be a part of our classes, but also allowing them to access the supports they need so they can make that shift towards college and navigate that college life. We have actually 2 kids who have finished the entire first semester of Adobe Photoshop and are finishing the second semester. They were way ahead of, actually even ahead of where our teacher was. And so they actually enrolled at the JC for the second part of it. And they are finishing up their certificate, which means when they graduate from high school, they graduate not only with a high school diploma, but with an Adobe Photoshop certificate. And actually both of them are applying for jobs at a really phenomenally high rate of pay, somewhere between 60 to 70,000 right out of high school. So we're super proud of those guys. Early college credit is huge, and it has significant positive outcomes. So kids are 12% more likely to graduate from college if we give them access to college credit while they're still in high school. The programs are more expensive. They're about $900 more per kid. But what research shows is there's a 5 times return on the investment. So we are investing this money in kids, which is going to have a significant positive outcome for the rest of their lives as far as their income is concerned. This, for many of our students, this is their pathway out of generational poverty. The number of kids who planned on going to college next year increased by 24%, according to our Youth Truth Survey. So in 1 year, the number of our kids who are planning on enrolling in college increased by 24%. And I attribute that to the entire staff's dedication and support. Also, according to our Youth Truth Survey, our kids are reporting in the top 10% of students in Sonoma County who feel equipped to pursue college and career readiness. And again, I attribute that to our support through 10,000 Degrees and our phenomenal counseling staff and Shannon Lowy, who's our academic counselor. We're proud of the programs we're creating. And as always, we are proud of our kids. Right now, we have 22 kids who have filled out the FAFSA, and that's in comparison to 4 students who filled it out last year. So we are proud of our seniors. We're proud of what they're going to do. And we're just so thrilled about all the opportunities we're creating for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Allie. Okay, let's start board reports. Let's start tonight with Trustee Lewis.
I've had the pleasure of attending a good amount of school events. I was excited to register my 4th born. He's in 8th grade, so we got to go to school and register him and just go through the process of course selection. We met with some counselors, sorry, my kid just dropped a metal water bottle. We went around campus. The counselors were super helpful. And I just always enjoyed being on campus. I just also wanted to thank the staff. I wanted to make an acknowledgement, not only as a parent, but as a board member. Just getting the communication through email and Parent Square is really helpful in staying in the know. So I just applaud all the efforts in keeping everybody in the know. That's all I got.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Aiello.
I would like to shout out and give a big thanks to Sebastopol Rotary, who gave us a $800 grant to expand the closet, which, for those of you who do not know, is a place where kids can come and get clothes, shoes, any other necessities they might need. And we do have a few beautiful prom dresses, if anybody needs those, thanks to Jennifer Jensen, who donated those. So hopefully we'll be able to expand the closet to the high school. And it's also a great place. We've started having kids come in and eat lunch with us and just like to chit chat. So it's a very positive, fun place to be, where the kids can have, and develop a nice relationship with other adults. So I'm very happy for that grant. So thank you to Sebastopol Rotary. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Julie. Exciting stuff. Trustee Noe?
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening. I just wanted to bring some information, an informational item this evening. I don't know if everyone is aware, but in 2014, the Portrait of Sonoma County was released, and there was just an updated report from 2021 released. In 2014, our district played a leadership role in helping to roll that out in the West County, and using those data to identify, areas of opportunity. It's broken down by the Human Development Index, so it looks at health, education, and income, and how different, by census tract, how the communities are doing within each region of the county. And so I'm hopeful that, again, our district can use that as a resource as we move forward and just thinking about our own planning, but then also partnering with the local groups who will be helping to develop some action items, in particular to how we can promote better health and well-being in our community. And obviously we're a critical player, as one of the elements is related to education. So hopeful. I know in 2014, we actually even had a link to the portrait on our website, and really helped to kind of elevate some of the disparities that exist, unfortunately, in our community related to some of those data.
Thank you, Kelly. Trustee Fernandez.
I have no report tonight.
Thank you. I have a couple of things. First and foremost, I would like to formally and publicly thank Dr. Evans for your time in our district, helping us transition from one superintendent to another. We really do appreciate it. And I personally, on a personal note, really appreciate spending some time with you and kind of seeing your insights and your thoughts as we move forward into our school. So thank you, sir. Officially welcome Eric to the fold. Thank you, sir, for joining. I tried to stop by today, but you were busy. We will get together and talk, but I am excited about the transition, and I'm both excited. Both you gentlemen have brought a lot already in a short period of time. So I just want to thank both of you publicly. Dr. Evans, thank you as you leave, and thank you and welcome for taking on the challenge, Eric. The next piece for my board report, I'm not going to talk very much about me, but we do need one board member to volunteer to be a part of the paper screening process for the hiring of our permanent superintendent. The dates are starting on about April 1st with a meeting on April 7th at 9 a.m. Is there anyone interested in being a part of the paper screening process? Julie? You put your hand up? Okay. Julie it is. Mia?
Yes, Julie, I did.
Julie's the one for that. The next piece is
real quick, sorry, Patrick, to interrupt you, but Angie put her hand up too.
Sorry, I did not see Angie.
Yeah, so I think she's interested as well.
Angie, can I offer you being a part of the first interview panel on the 11th of April? Can you make that work?
Yeah, that sounds good. What day is it?
April 11th, Mia, right? Am I right?
Monday, April 11th, and then the board interviews are on Tuesday, April 12th.
Okay.
Are we good?
So Julie, you'll be on the paper screening, and then Angie, you'll be on the first interview committee. Okay, got it. Thanks.
When is the paper screening again? I need to put the date down.
So I'll send some information, Julie, but you can start paper screening on April 1st, and then we'll have a meeting on April 7th at 9 a.m. at the district office. But I'll send you all the information on how to paper screen. We do it through EdJoin, so you can do it electronic. It's a lot easier.
Thank you, Mia.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me what time the interviews are on April 12th? Or is that to be determined?
Yeah, we'll probably start in the morning, Jeannie. Probably have the board come together at 8:30, and probably the first interview will be at 9. That's a tentative time at this point, though.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to, am I good to move on? Okay, moving on to item A, education services. Item number 1, consideration of approval of vote in California School Board Association Subregion 3-A, Sonoma County 2022 Delegate Assembly Election. Who's taking this one?
So Jeannie, did you have something you wanted to say on that?
I was just going to make a motion, but I'll let whoever wants to introduce it first.
Well, this is a very normal thing. If you've been on the board a few years, you've seen this. Generally, every year it comes up, and you vote for a representative. There's 2 representatives on the ballot, and they gave a little bio of themselves and what they've been doing. The first one, I read through them, and Jeremy Brott has a lot of experience. He's from Bennett Valley. What you have to look at is, as I did this with other boards, is who do you think would represent your viewpoint the best to the group? I think Jeremy is a great candidate if you feel like his experience meets what your board's philosophy is.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, you.
I'd like to move that we nominate Jeremy Brott as our district's vote. I've worked with Jeremy for 14 years on the Sonoma County Committee for School District Organization. He's been my assistant chair for a number of years, and has, as you can read by his bio, been very involved in CSBA as a delegate previously. He gave a great overview of himself, and I think that's the best candidate for our representation. Thank you.
Is there a second to that?
Julie had her hand up, but I'm not sure that was a second or just.
No, I wondered if there was something. When can I make a comment? I have something I want to say.
We need a second first.
We need a second.
Okay.
Okay. I take it there is no second to this motion. Julie, why don't you go ahead and make your comment?
Well, I'll second it just so we can move forward. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Julie.
I've met Ever Flores. I've had a meeting with him. I'm interested in including him and voting for him for this. And I think it's important to have some diversity. And I think that he's incredibly dedicated. So that's where my vote would go.
Okay, thank you.
I was just a little concerned that he doesn't really have any experience, and he didn't even really provide much information for us to read anything about him.
He was new to the school board this year, but he's just extremely dedicated to education. And again, I feel that diversity is important.
Yes, Dylan, do you have were you raising your hand to say something?
Oh yeah, did you say Ever Flores? Julie?
Yeah, it is Ever Flores is the other candidate.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I personally know him, and he was a part of the Adelante Migrant Education Program at the Santa Rosa Junior College for many years. And I have to agree that he is, in fact, a very good person and a very good candidate for the position. He's really dedicated to education, and he really looks out for underrepresented students.
Thank you, Dylan. Kelly, Angie, any comments?
I was looking at the bios here, and yeah, I mean, they're a little bit different, but I think I'm with Julie on this one. I agree.
Okay. Is there a public comment on this measure, on this motion on the floor?
No.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is to vote for Jeremy Brott. We have a first and a second, so I will bring it back for a roll call vote. Trustee Fernandez.
You're muted, Jeannie.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Noe.
No.
Trustee Aiello.
No.
Trustee Trustee Lewis.
No.
Trustee Pena-Perez.
No.
And Trustee Nagel votes no. Motion fails 4-1. Would someone like to make a second motion?
Can I make a motion?
Please.
I move that we nominate Ever Flores.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions, comments on this motion? Public comment on this motion?
None.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
No.
Trustee Pena-Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries. I was muted. My apologies. Item number 2, under Education Services, presentation on independent study, and I believe Dr. Super Evans will brief us on this topic.
Yes, good evening, board, and to our viewing audience. Before I start tonight, I just want to acknowledge Principal Ferdinandson, Principal Green, and Assistant Principal Faris. They've helped me present this, put this presentation together, and so I want to acknowledge them. For tonight, Principal Green and Assistant Principal Faris, they're in the room with me right now, and so they'll be able to answer questions after the presentation. So this is just an overview of the program. We have a board policy 6158 and an AR 6158 that authorizes independent study as an alternative option to the typical classroom setting. And in order for students to be successful in this program, students are usually self-motivated and they're very organized. And as I said, our board policy outlines the study requirements, independent study requirements, as specified in our Ed Code. We have around 177 students in our program, roughly 160 students from West County, and probably around 14 students from Laguna. Typically, our students are taking college classes. Some of them have jobs, students with children. Some of these students could have athletic or artistic pursuits. But more importantly, it's usually students seeking just a different educational setting. Students in the program have to complete 220 credits. They earn the same high school diploma as West Sonoma County Union High School. It is a synchronous learning, which basically is that classroom is delivered either in the form of internet, telephone, but it's a live one-on-one communication between the teacher and the student. And students have to complete a contract, and this is required for all of our students. And I do have it down here, but I didn't want to go into the contract. But you can download that and you can see what the contract contains. The curriculum is 100% online. The curriculum that we're using is Edmentum. And Edmentum, there are a variety of units. Each unit has a discussion, a writing assessment, and a project. And after each unit, there is an assessment. And according to Ed Code, that unit or that course has to be of the same rigor, quality, that's equivalent to an in-person instruction that's at the comprehensive high school. Currently, we have 7 teachers that monitor this program. And as I said, we have roughly around 177 students. We do have a therapist, 0.5 therapist that the board approved. And also the students have a counselor that has been assigned to them. The caseload for each teacher is around 15 students. I included in this PowerPoint a schedule. Students have a minimum of 5 classes, up to 7. As you can see, this particular student and what they have each quarter. This student has 6 classes each quarter. Next slide. Next slide. So we hope that our students do well, but sometimes they don't always do well. They are working independently, and it is online. 100% of the program is online. And so we have a re-engagement strategy, a tiered re-engagement strategy for those students that do not do well. So after the first week, when we find that we have a student, we contact them. We contact the family. After 2 weeks, we have a meeting with the therapist to create a re-engagement plan. And then after 4 weeks, we may return the student to the comprehensive high school. So I do want to say that this year is different. Independent study is different because the students are there. Many of the students can voluntarily enter into the program, which is different from in the past. So go ahead to the next slide. So I also wanted to show you what a course looks like. So, and how do we get credit for that course in terms of ADA? So as you can see, we have a chemistry course right here. And you can see the class, there's an icon that's green, means the kid is on course or on track to complete the course. And right now the current grade is a C. The teacher takes all of the coursework and determines what credit they're going to give to the students. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. And I know this is pretty much hard to read, but I just kind of want to give you a sample of what it looks like on Edmentum. So you can see where there's an icon and there's a green icon, which means they are on track to complete the course. You can see the course right here is English. And then you'll notice that there's a current grade, which is a B right now, and a course grade. So the difference between the current grade and the course grade is the current grade is based on what they've done so far. And the course grade is, this is the grade that they have if they were to stop right now in the program. So if you look at the green bar, that lets you know that they're on track to complete the course. But if you look at that vertical black line, that's where they should be. And this particular student has spent around 12 hours and 34 minutes in this class online. If you look down, you'll see a clock, and there's a 1 beside the clock. This means that the student has something that needs to be graded by the teacher. And then if you look down below, there is a lock, and that's an assignment that needs to be unlocked for the student to complete. Going back over to the schedule, if you see the red, which is right beside the chemistry class, right now, it doesn't look that the student is going to be able to complete the coursework. And so, as you can see, there's a red, and if you look at that vertical black line, that's where they should be right now. And you can see that they're not on pace to complete the class. Okay, next slide. Students in independent study can participate in athletics. They can participate in after-school programs. They can also participate in the proms, dances, and also participate in the graduation ceremony. We've had a lot of challenges with independent study this year. And this year is not like any other year, simply because students can see at any time that they want to enter into the program. And then we have a certain amount of time to prepare them for the program. Some of the issues that we have faced this year is students transfer many times towards the end of the unit or at the end of the semester. And how do we honor the time that they've completed in class when they come to independent study, and then try to figure out what they need to finish the course to get the credit. Another issue that we've had is just the fidelity of the assessments, because everything is taken online. And normally students would take the assessments in person, and students have that option this year due to COVID. So we've had some loopholes, trying to, get students to participate in terms of meeting with teachers at least once a week. Because again, everything is virtual. So we've had some issues there. And as I said, just dealing with students who are coming into the program very late in the semester. I think that we've done a pretty good job handling the challenges this year in independent study, but I think that there are some things that we need to deal with as we are building, a high quality program in the future. And so right now, actually we met last week, we have a committee that's made up of teachers, counselors, and administrators. And we are actually reviewing the curriculum. Right now we have Edmentum, and we're actually looking at other curriculum, other software curriculum that other districts are using. But we're still looking at an online program. And not only are we looking at Edmentum, we're also taking a look at the program and looking at where we are now, where we want to be, and what do we have to do to get to where we want to be. And I really want to thank Principal Green for taking independent study on. It's been very challenging in this COVID era. And we want to recognize that it's been a lot of work in trying to get kids to complete all the coursework in a timely manner. And like I said, we have another meeting within the next couple of weeks to really look at the curriculum and the program in general. So this is just the beginning of what we want to do, and we hope that we can bring something back next year as we look at independent study, as we refine the program.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. Questions for Dr. Evans?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So Dr. Evans, thank you so much for your work on this. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I know you and I actually talked about was updating our board policy on our independent study program, because I'm not quite sure that we're actually following what we're doing. So I think that needs to be something that we need to address, and something that I think needs a little attendance to. And then my other question is, how do we deal with the whole Edmentum thing? Because I think, don't we have to, I mean, we're using this now, there's issues with it, but we have a contract with them, plus we've got summer school coming forward. Is the plan that we're just going to keep using it for summer school? Do you have any idea? Does the committee have any idea? What's the thought with that?
So my recommendation is to continue with the Edmentum program. I know the contract is up. I think it's April. But our kids are already in the program right now and need to complete the program at least till June. And that gives us time to really look at what are the other programs out there. So it's my recommendation that we continue with the program at least until the end of summer. By that time, we will have looked at a variety of programs, and we can figure out what would be the best program for our students. And the other thing that I like is that we do have a committee, and the teachers are really dedicated and really looking at all these programs. And so I think with that group, we can come up with something that's really good for our kids. And it may be Edmentum, but I think right now we need to continue with what we have, which means that we need to extend the contract until the end of the summer.
Thank you, sir.
Is there a chance that we can do that? Can anybody answer that?
It's my understanding, and Andrew, you can correct me. My understanding is that we can extend the contract till the end of summer.
Yeah, we needed to pay for 3 additional months. It does end the end of April. We need to pay for May, June, and July to get us through summer school.
Okay. Other questions from the board before we open it to public questions, comments? Julie? Angie, I'll get you next.
How does the committee feel about the rigor of the program?
And I think that's a good question. And that is a question that they actually have themselves. And they're actually looking at it right now. It's my understanding that when we met last week, there was a group starting with some department chairs, and they're actually looking at the curriculum. And so we can really determine that after they actually meet to discuss the coursework.
And the other question I have, the online assessments, do they have to be done after the coursework is taken, or can they take the assessments at any time during the program?
That's a good question, and I'm going to refer that question to Principal Green.
Hi, Julie. I'm here. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. I was muted, so you didn't hear the kids. So you have, the way that the program is set up is you have to go through the content, like the tutorial, in order to access the assessment. And kids can take the assessments as many times as they want, but they have to go through the lesson every single time. So they're all formative assessments, essentially. So it's one big, huge unit that has anywhere between 15, sometimes to 20 or 30, like little tutorials that are the formative assessments. And they can take them as many times as they want, but they have to do the lesson if they want to access the quiz.
Thank you.
You got it.
There is one of the things that the program is supposed to be synchronous, and that is a question that has come up with the program.
So just to clarify that, the Edmentum is asynchronous. The law changed this year so that there has to be synchronous. And so that's why the teachers meet with the kids via Zoom once per week. The challenge to all of this is that we are not allowed to force or compel the kids to come back to campus in person because of the laws and our the legal advice we received at the beginning of school. So whereas it used to be that the kids would come back on campus to do the assessments so that they could be monitored, this year we were told that we are not allowed to force kids essentially to come back to any type of in-person because of COVID.
Allie, what if that situation changes, which looks like that's coming towards our direction?
That's a totally good question. And I was wondering that myself. I don't know. I mean, that's something that probably we should run by legal. And when we met with the lawyers at the beginning of the school year, they were adamant that we are not allowed to, that any kid can go into it at any time, that we can't stop them. And even though, and I know Dr. Evans was talking about like a loophole, there's this problem in that if kids don't perform, that we can't force them to come back. So we can offer them therapy, we can offer them supports, we can offer them meetings, but we're kind of stuck in this weird area where like we can't force them to meet with another human because of COVID. So if we're going to switch that, my suggestion would just be that we check with legal. I talked to some people in the Santa Rosa City Schools, and at least for the time being, they are maintaining the status quo that the rules we were given at the beginning of the year.
And I would add to that this spring, as we open schools back up more and more with the masks and all of that coming off, I think that there will be state guidelines that will change it and hopefully change it back to how it used to be, independent study, so it would more follow the board policy that Dr. Evans talked about. For now, though, I think
the law expires at the end of this year, so it was just for this one academic school year. And actually, Karen, I think, did send around a while back the updated board policies that reflect the latest in the laws. I don't know what we did with that, but we did have those at one point.
Okay. Dylan, Angie, Kelly, questions before we open to public comment? Okay. Anyone wishing to comment, ask questions regarding distance learning or independent study, I'm sorry. And now would be the time to raise your hand so that Jenny can call on you.
Kelly, you raised your hand. Okay, I've got an accident. It made me think for too much because I was like, it went on the wrong side. You have one public comment, but Leah, I just saw that your hand was raised. Did you mean to unraise it? And you have one.
All right.
Perfect. Now you have two.
Let's do it.
Greg Hayes, followed by Leah Woody. I'll start the clock while you guys. And Mr. Hay, you have the floor.
Yes, I have a question. The people that are independent study, the California Department of Education guarantees in-person instruction for all students that go to schools in the state of California. If any of those students are at home doing independent study as a result of COVID, meaning that they are not allowed to attend school, would be against the California Department of Education. They are guaranteed and required in-person instruction and should be in school. I don't know how the attorneys came to give you the information that you can't force them to come to school. The only way that they would be able to stay home is if they signed a contract with your school or district that agreed to independent study. The law states that since they are required to have in-person instruction, that they can be in school regardless of your mask requirements or vax requirements, because those are not requirements as has been stated by Judge Freeland in San Diego County in the case that was tried down there. That all the requirements are simply recommendations. They've always been recommendations, and they've always been handled by each district, which is what Governor Newsom is saying now, that the districts make the choice. Well, the districts have always made that choice, as was revealed in that court case, because the county was sued in that case in San Diego, and it turned out that the ruling was that the districts are the ones that make the decisions. Local districts, each school district makes the decision for masking. If children are not at school because they're not allowed to come to school, then that's actually breaking the law. And we're teaching parents about this now, currently, which means that if any child is refused in-person instruction, we'll have a cause of action against your district and your trustees as a result, in their personal or individual capacity and their professional capacity, just so you know. Thank you.
Next commenter is Leah Woody. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Hi, yeah, can everyone hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Yeah, hello everybody. Thank you, Dr. Evans, Principal Green, and Brees for looking into this, because obviously I'm following up Greg Hayes's mentions, it's shifting sands, right? And so thank you so very much. I'd like to be part of this conversation as a college and career coordinator. I offered my services last summer for summer school, and I was denied involvement. I know in the 15 years that I've been a college and career coordinator and advisor that inspiring a student and knowing the resources that our county offers, including all the certificate programs at the JC, including all the services that all of our county offers, quite honestly, and enlightening students and igniting them knowing that they're special and wonderful and they have a light to share is really, really crucial. I'm so happy to be back on campus. We all are. I'm hoping it just keeps going up and up to where we can take masks off and all that jazz. So everybody's looking at the independent study. I'd like to be part of that discussion, please. I know that there's a lot of funding coming down the pike for career development, and so we need to be in the discussion. So we have Stacy Fortin as work-based learning coordinator now in our district at our school. And she works at both schools, actually. And I know that we just had a great meeting with Nicole Wilkinson today. And we're going to be talking to admin soon in terms of frameworking, just college and especially career readiness. So I appreciate your time, and yeah, let's go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Next speaker, somebody raised their hand, but are you okay with taking?
Yeah, one more.
Trisha Maxon, you have the floor.
Hi, I just wanted to very quickly clarify for Mr. Hayes, this is not a suggestion that students cannot be on campus. It is rather a choice that students are making to be in independent study. So they can absolutely come back to campus whenever they wished. I hope that clarifies it.
Thank you, Trisha. Are we going to take the continued hands, or do you want to call it at this one? Somebody just raised their hand.
Okay, last one, and then we're going to move on.
Okay. Lori, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I'm following along. Back there, I just wanted to congratulate the kids on the sports. That was awesome. A great report on that. But just quickly here, I did kind of just follow those last two comments. And I think to clarify kind of the misconception between the two, yes, I'm hearing from everybody that students have a choice to go into independent study. They have a choice to come back. I think that both comments were just clarifying, one, that students can't be forced to independent study. I think that's what Greg was warning about. If a student is trying to be on campus, but the COVID protocols, for example, are something that they can't comply with or won't, then the student should not and cannot be forced to independent study. So that's something that we're concerned that we may have seen all around the county, students being pressured or feeling being rejected at the campus based on either their beliefs or their physical ability to comply with those mandates. And so, those mandates, really the recommendations that are being held by the schools or enforced by the schools. And then, of course, the student shouldn't be forced into that. And also they can't be forced back. So I guess that's kind of a discussion. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Evans and Principal Green and Vice Principal Brees, I really appreciate the report. I look forward to hearing report outs in the future from the committee that is going to be working hard and continue to work on that. And so again, thank you all very much. And we're going to move on to business services. Item number 1, consideration of approval of the monthly budget update for 2021-2022. You're up, Andrew.
You want to do a motion?
Yes, we got a motion to approve the monthly budget.
I move that we approve the monthly budget update for 2021-2022.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jeannie. Andrew.
All right, thank you and good evening. And again, our routine monthly item that comes before you is our budget adjustments for what have happened in the prior month. We've had some changes to the fund balance for February with changes for budgeting some additional substitute needs, hiring the roving sub, transportation costs for special ed that came in, that West County Transportation did a recalculation, so there's some additional funds that need to be allocated for that. So I present you with those changes this evening.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions for Andrew regarding the monthly budget update? Seeing none. Any public questions regarding the monthly budget update? Seeing none, bring it back for roll call vote. Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello,
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez,
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item C, human resources. Item number 1, consideration of approval of monthly personnel report. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly personnel report?
I move that we approve the monthly personnel report.
Thank you, Julie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Angie. Ms. Mia.
Okay, so I do have some additions to the report that was posted on Friday. And these are all partial leaves of absences for next school year. Desiree Barboza, 20% leave of absence. Miguel Crawford, a 1.0 leave of absence. Brent Goris, 0.20 leave of absence. Paige Greco, a 0.20 leave of absence. Ellen Hulamard, a 0.2 leave of absence. Michelle Larkin, a 0.4 leave of absence. Christy Lubin, a 0.2 leave of absence. Nicoletta Lupu Philpott, a 0.2 leave of absence. And Joe Maloney, a 0.4 leave of absence. And these, again, are all for next school year. And the site administration at West County has approved these, and that's why I'm bringing them forward to you for the final approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions from the board? Seeing none, questions from the community on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote. Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Item number 2, consideration of approval of resolution number 11, March 2021, regarding reduction or discontinuance of certain particular kinds of service for the 2022-2023 school year certificated. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Angie. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeannie. Mia.
Okay, so I've been working with the site administrators to identify the reductions for the particular kinds of services resolution that I'm bringing before to you tonight. And before I read through the reductions, I do want to make sure that everybody is aware that these are preliminary reductions. The Ed Code requires that the board approve preliminary reductions before they can approve final layoffs in the month of May. A lot of work is going to happen between now and our final layoffs in May. And I just want to assure you that I'll be working with our CBO, our interim superintendent, and the site administrators to hopefully bring back some of these preliminary reductions that we're going to be discussing tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this list of reductions. Okay, let's see. Teacher on special assignment, a 0.60 FTE. Athletic director, 0.20 FTE. English language coach, 0.20 FTE. Physics instructional services, 0.60 FTE. Art instructional services, 0.8 FTE. Academic support instructional services, 1.0. Educational instructional services, 2.2, it's a 2 FTE. Treble choir instructional services, 0.20 FTE. Orchestra instructional services, 0.2 FTE. English instructional services, 0.6 FTE. Math instructional services, 0.8 FTE. Floral instructional services, 0.4 FTE. AP psychology instructional services, 0.2 FTE. Environmental science instructional services, 0.5 FTE. And sustainable living instructional services, 0.5 FTE. That comes to a total of 8.8 FTE. However, due to resignations and a retirement, we are releasing We will be issuing notices to particular employees, and most of those are just a partial, like a 0.20 layoff or a 0.4. We have one employee that will be receiving a 1.0 layoff, but our hope is to bring them back for the new school year. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board on the things that Mia just presented? Don't see any. Questions from the community on what Mia just presented?
No.
Not seeing any. Okay, bring it back for a roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Sorry. Aye.
Okay, Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Ayala.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye.
Mia, can you send that list to us?
I will. I will be sending you an entire list.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to section D, facilities, maintenance, and technology. Item number 1, consideration of approval of update to district COVID safety plan. I believe Ms. Jenny is going to be leading this evening.
Yes, I also have Rachel Lassick here. She's our district COVID coordinator. There's been a lot of updates as of recently, and at the time that we published this report, the February 11th updates were all that we had, which was that the temporary health order limiting indoor attendance was lifted. February 15th, indoor mask requirements for non-public schools was lifted. And then we were told on the 11th that February 28th, there would be an update from the governor. The update from the governor as of the 28th, and this is all, I updated the board item this morning. Governor Newsom announced that on Monday, February 28th, that with the declining case rates and hospitalizations across the West California, Oregon, and Washington were moving together to update their masking guidance after 11:59 p.m. on March 11th. All of those states will adopt the new indoor mask policies and move from mask requirements to recommendations in school. Little bit of conflicting information because Sonoma County Public Health is the jurisdiction which we follow when the state and public health have a conflict. And right now there is a potential conflict, and we've heard from Sonoma County Office of Education and Capital Advisors along with the Sonoma County Public Health that they're hoping to issue an update tomorrow on a possible, I said quote possible because that's the way it came to us, alignment with the California Department of Public Health proposed changes. So we're hoping to have that information tomorrow. And then we also received some information regarding the clarification for masking on school buses. And that will sunset and turn to a recommendation or strongly recommended after March 11th. So basically, the long and the short is the state is removing the required mask mandate as of March 11th. So the earliest we would be able to return with students in the classroom, staff in the classroom, or on school buses would be Monday, March 14th. And until we receive public health guidance that aligns with that, we're unclear as to how our county would respond.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Jenny. The discrepancy there is the treating staff who isn't fully vaccinated and boosted, correct?
Correct. Our county also has a mask requirement for schools, so they would need to lift that mask requirement.
Correct. Okay.
So it's kind of hard to follow the bouncing ball a little bit because we're supposed to follow our local jurisdiction, and then the state helps govern that. The state superseded what our local public health required. So now we go back to local public health, and there is a little bit of a conflict. They're aware of that conflict. They've been having conversations all week about it. My understanding is Dr. Harrington and Dr. Mays will be speaking tomorrow prior to 9 a.m. They will discuss this at tomorrow's 9 a.m. Leadership 40, which is where all 40 superintendents in the district meet. And they will be giving new information so that we can be prepared for how to respond next week.
Okay.
Rachel, did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it. As of right now, we anticipate that the county will follow suit with the state. Right now, the main discrepancy has to do with our staff that is not boosted or is unvaccinated, and whether or not Sonoma County will still mandate them to wear masks. Right now, is my understanding, is the kind of discrepancy.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for this?
I'm sorry, we did need a motion for this. Good catch.
Sure, what you guys would motion on.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what I'm wondering, because I mean, we've always aligned sort of what we're doing with what the direction is from county public health and from SCO, and consistent with all the other school districts. So, and it sounds like the direction isn't coming out till tomorrow. So I don't know do we do anything?
Well, what you could do, I think, is direct us to follow the local guidance. And once that is published and available for us to follow, we will bring this back to, we have a board meeting in 2 weeks. So we can bring this back in 2 weeks to have that ratified.
So I make a motion to approve the updated district COVID safety plan in alignment with local guidance from County Public Health and the Sonoma County Office of Education.
I'll second.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to clarify, the ambiguity is around staff only. Our understanding from the governor is that all students would be able to be unmasked if they so choose. This is an optional demasking on Monday, March 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the clarification. Other questions before we turn it over to the public on this topic? Dylan, you're quiet. Your thoughts? Students taking off masks? What you want to say? Okay. All right. Anyone from the community want to chime in on this topic?
You have 2 public speakers.
Okay.
And I'm going to share my screen really quick and then pull them in. First speaker is going to be Lori, then followed by Greg Hay, followed by Sasha. And I will give you, Lori, you have the floor, followed by Greg, then Sasha.
Thank you so much. I was virtually attending the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors meeting yesterday and watched the update from our health officer. We did get the information already in the public, and it's online, is what their current rates are, the vaccination and unvaccinated cases, et cetera. Sonoma County is posted as a low risk. And so, I mean, that is public information. We are a low risk county. The CDC recommendations, you know, if you guys want to stay in alignment with the CDC recommendations, I would say you have the authority to do so at any given time. You don't need the health officer to give you permission. But that's, you know, up to how you guys want to take it. You want to be careful, but I would say that you might want to consider things like, have you asked your employees or students for a release of liability for any potential harms, including long-term health consequences that could occur from any medical mandates that you put out? You know, you should probably be getting a consent form for any medical device that's being used. Those are emergency use authorized devices, the mask, the test, and the vaccine. So at any time you would need to have a consent form, and they need to be informed of all the risks and the benefits. And my concern as a community member in this district is that, you know, and I've seen it around the district as a member of the community, that around the county, that districts are not providing this informed consent for their students and employees. And that is huge liability. I mean, I'm sure you guys are hearing this in the news. At this point, those who are vaccinated have presumably protected themselves. And yet, we're still concerned about those who aren't, and they're wearing masks, even though masks are, this is a mess. So my suggestion, because I'm someone who has studied this for a year, I've been communicating with California Department of Public Health, with SCO and everyone, is to ask these serious questions of yourselves, or if you do plan to meet with SCO, ask them, who is responsible for monitoring the health of the students while they're on campus, especially if they're using an emergency use authorized device without their parents' presence or informed consent. I mean, this is really scary stuff that you guys are dealing with, and I feel for you. You're in a position that I would not want to be in, enforcing any of this. Where are the disclosures to the parents? Have these policies been tried before? What were those effects and results? This is experimental, which is why we don't have those results. So you're putting yourselves in a position to hold an experiment even days longer is more and more risk. And I would just warn you, there's parents all over the place that have finally figured out that they have the power to pull that, they have the card to say, you need to give the kids their education.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Craig Hayes, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. So I'd like to make a comment about this as well. Listen, concerning the teachers and the students, all of the above, a mandate from the governor of the state of California applies to the state employees, does not apply to the citizenry of California. That's always been true. That is a fact. That is a law. An emergency order will only apply to the people in contract with the state of California, which would be anybody that gets a paycheck from the state of California. And as far as the counties go, the counties can decide what they want to do. They've always been independent and autonomous. They do not have to follow the CDPH recommendations. And as we have just seen right now, you voted. You made a motion, seconded the motion, and voted for a certain protocol. Districts are responsible for that protocol. Being as such that you are an independent body, and you have always been an independent body, again, you are liable in your individual and professional capacity, which what that means is if there are any children who are injured from masks, if there are any children who have any issues from mask wearing through these last 2 years, because we can go back 2 years, that creates a serious liability against you and against your school district. That means the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, whoever is in charge of your COVID program, and the trustees, since the trustees passed these policies and enforce these policies. And that includes the board meetings. Apparently, you are not allowing people who are unvaccinated into your board meeting, and that would be a serious violation. And those violations are called deprivation of rights under the color of law, because you cannot make a law. A rule is not a law. A rule is not a binding policy. You can make a rule for your people, for your bodies, but you cannot make a rule for the public to enter into a public accommodation. Now, how does that play out? That plays out in various forms. That would be uniform complaint procedure. That would be credential complaints. That would be government tort claims. These are serious things. These are the lead-in to lawsuits. And I want you to take this seriously at this point, because this is the instruction that's being given out in Sonoma County. People are learning to use this process, and you are the people that are creating this barrier. And if you continue this, you will be held responsible and liable. And I really don't want to see these school districts shut down based on bad advice that you're getting from your legal team. And that's Sonoma County Legal Services that is giving you this information. And it simply is not correct. And that puts you in the liability. We don't want to see that. We want to see our Sonoma County schools stay open. Thank you.
Sasha, you have the floor. Are you with us, Sasha?
I'm here. My name is Sasha Rose, formerly Benedetti. And I just want to say, for one, I don't know if there's discussion of this, but it feels just wrong to have virtual board meetings at this point. You can't see our faces. And the parent body is really alienated, as you know, for different
Sasha,
reasons.
we're talking about the board meeting location at the next
Great. I'm going to keep going. I'm just commenting. I don't want to use my time for that. So I'm just saying that you're alienating parents for a lot of different reasons, and that to be able to voice what we want to say, all opinions need to be heard. And this is not a popular opinion in West County, but people are talking and people are over it. It's time to end these emergency protocols and put the well-beings of our teens first, and not these unfounded fears and these mandates that have really harmed them. So I'm wanting to voice to end the masking now, to end the testing now, to end the quarantining now. This has been a mess. And it's time to stop answering to these politicians, Newsom and even Mace, everything that's come out about her and her DUI and her being out of integrity. It's time to really stand in your service to the parents and mostly to our young people. So no matter how much these health officials have spun these numbers, these extreme measures have not been justified for our children to mask them for 2 years. The harm is unknown. We know the mental health issues are on the rise. We know suicides are on the rise. We know that they're suffering, and it's unnecessary. You never provided us as parents with evidence that this extreme measure of covering their face would be effective for them or for even having impact on this virus. So much has come out to show that it is not. So you have no place to be implementing these medical interventions and to normalize that and to create a whole culture where now students are afraid to show their face, they're afraid to breathe. You've participated in this. And it's so disappointing. I don't even know where to begin. The PCR test has shown to be ineffective. You sent home tests from China with toxic ingredients in them that are now there's warnings about those ingredients from the CDC in their backpacks with no notice. It's time for you to really be in your integrity and stand up for the youth and cut through whatever the fog is that's keeping you from seeing that what is being presented to you is not the full story and it's not the full truth. Quarantine needs to end. You're taking away instructional time. We really need to support our youth to focus on their path into the greater world. Please do the right thing.
Thank you for your comment. Patrick, we had a last minute hand raised. Are you interested in taking?
Last one on this topic.
Tracy Coing, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. You have the floor.
Hi, I just want to quickly ask a clarifying question, if you can, for the mask mandate. If the county public health officer said, as of the 14th, the students can go mask free, if that's what you guys voted on and you're waiting to see if it's the staffing that you should or shouldn't go mask free as the 14th. So all I want to know as a parent, if on the 14th we're good to go, or if you're waiting for the 9 a.m. call tomorrow, if we're good to go on the 14th as a parent to unmask our child, if it was just a staffing thing that you're waiting on. Thank you.
Rachel, can you provide clarity on that last question, please?
Absolutely. So it is my understanding that we are still waiting on our local Sonoma County Public of Health to clarify this, but I do believe we anticipate them to go along with the California governor's recommendation to release students to no longer be mandated to wear masks. But yes, we're waiting to see what county health says. However, I think we are expecting students to be able to be mask free on the 14th.
And I will concur with that. Both Rachel and I are kind of we're reading it independently and conferring with each other to make sure we understand, because it gets a little confusing when you're trying to follow all these things. Our understanding is that local public health will be attempting to align with California Department of Public Health, and will be answering a lot of the questions that we have that It's just unclear. The governor was very clear, but our local public health did things prior to the governor's order that are still in play today. So we're just wanting clarification. It's our hope that we will get that tomorrow morning.
Perfect. And just as a point, another point of clarification to a couple of the people commenting, we haven't voted. We're about to vote. And what we're voting on is to follow the county's guidance when it gets updated, looks like tomorrow.
Sorry, I just want to clarify. Leadership 40 is Friday morning, not tomorrow morning. My apologies. Dr. Mays and Dr. Harrington, the notification we received was we would hear from them Friday morning. My apologies. I just don't know what it is.
By the end of the week, we're expecting some concrete answers to the county's health protocol and the directive to go forward. So just as a point of clarification, that is what we are voting on. We have not voted yet. Any questions before we actually vote? All right. Let's see. Roll call vote. Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
And Trustee Nagel votes aye. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item number 2, discussion and action on location for the March 16th, 2022 board meeting. Can I have a motion on this?
Patrick, can I make a recommendation? We not make a motion on that until we've had a discussion?
Okay.
I'll second that.
Discuss away.
So this is another issue that we have is at the time that this board meeting was published, we did not have concrete information on any new guidance or mask guidance. Now that we have some guidance, but not complete clarity, we're actually unsure as staff as to if you guys want to return to in-session board meetings, or if you want to hold off until we actually get clarification on masks or no masks. But there is no health order right now that limits participation at any school event any longer, which was one of the factors into going virtually, along with the fact that we were struggling to do it virtually and in person at the same time.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer questions. And
I just want to say that I think it's time that we go back to in person and we all bring our mask in case we are told we still have to wear masks. And if we don't have to wear a mask, then we can choose not to if we decide we want to do that. And we'll ask the participants in the audience to do the same. And I suggest we go back to the library. And I think that it's just time for us to do that now. And I personally think that Jenny and her crew have done an amazing job thus far. But if we go back to in-person meetings, that we do not need to do virtual meetings. It's almost, I think, impossible for them to do that. And I think it's also costs us a pretty penny that we can ill afford.
Kelly?
That was going to be my clarifying question is if we go back to in-person, will we still offer virtual? And I would like to say that we need to still have an interpretation available at our in-person meetings. So we need to maintain offering that for language justice.
Angie?
Would you like me to answer that question?
Yeah. Well, the first one, yeah. So what is our intention? And maybe that's what we just need to discuss as a board, but I'm just wondering, like, are we just going back to normal in-person meetings, like pre-COVID, where we were just all in person and there will be no offering virtually, which is kind of unfortunate because I do think a lot more people were able to access our meetings virtually. And then my other question too is just what are other boards doing? Like what's the landscape of the West County? Are people going back to in-person meetings, or are they still waiting for the official guidance and then looking more towards April or May? Like what's the landscape out there?
With respect to hosting the meetings in person and simultaneously virtually, there will still be a challenge there, and we would have to request that you do it in the theater if you wanted it to be live. There's audio issues that we have with respect to that. One of the main factors in offering it in person and virtually at the time that we did that was the limitation of who could attend the board meetings. You guys had made a policy, or I can't remember what we did, but it was part of our policy to only allow vaccinated people into the meeting. So we still had to make it available to everybody else. If we're no longer having a mandate for vaccines or how many people can attend, then the requirement wouldn't be for us to have both offered at this point per current law. I do see personally a higher percentage of people attending virtually than they do in person. We could assess whether we could record it and post it online later. I think it would be very challenging for us to simulcast it at the same time. So that's just my honest opinion for right now. As I maybe have some conversations with teachers who I don't want to put on blast right now for asking them to do things, I think that we could potentially talk to some teachers on staff about maybe getting some student participation, but I don't know where that lies, and I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, but I do see that there's a value to having it online.
Angie, you got a question?
Well, you guys kind of touched on it. I mean, the main reason that we went back to virtual, was safety when COVID was going crazy again, but also it was mainly accessibility, cost effectiveness, and logistics. I don't know if it would be valuable to poll the community and find out, because I think that was one of the deciding factors, was also the participation level. If we do it, is the libraries are equipped to do it? Is that what, or was that one of the logistical?
We can't do the video in the library, so we can never
theater.
But the library, so pre-COVID, because I don't know if you've ever been to a meeting pre-COVID, so we always met in the library. That's where we always held our meetings, was in the library. The theaters we did because it was easier for Jenny's team to set up to be able to do both the in-person and online. Well, I shouldn't say easier. It was still very difficult, but it was impossible in the library.
It also allowed for distancing, which isn't an issue right now.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we would need to kind of address it. I don't know what I don't know. I know that with the social distancing requirements, the vaccination requirements that we had, and the acoustic requirements that we were dealing with, we knew that the theater was the best option. I don't know what it would take to do it in the library. I'm assuming smaller location. We still have the microphones and the video projection, or not video projection, but sound projection, that we would probably be able to at least record it. Doing it at the same time requires somebody to listen to the audio and adjust it. I think that might be cost prohibitive to us if we couldn't find maybe a student who is interested in doing it. There are plenty of school boards out there that record live, but they're using city council chambers, like Santa Rosa City Schools. And Kelly, I realized I didn't answer your question about what West County was doing in terms of board meetings, or our county in general. I think we're all probably having this conversation with our boards right now. So I'll be interested maybe what Superintendent Hobbs finds out Friday at Leadership 40, because I imagine that they'll be having those conversations there.
Julia, I saw your hand up.
I just really want to do what's cost effective. That's important to me. I think if issues are important enough to people they can come to in-person meetings. I am just very concerned about making sure that we don't spend money unnecessarily.
Well, I think it was quoted, and Jenny, you can maybe tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you quoted us somewhere in the tune of about $700 per board meeting to do that.
Higher.
I think it's
It
higher.
was like $2,500.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it was
well,
higher. Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
I mean, I like the idea of recording it though. If that's like not a big fee, I mean, if we don't have to, if that's like easier and wouldn't be the $2,500 fee, I do like the idea of recording it and having it available online so someone could go in after the fact. I mean, I know I do that working for the county all the time where I'm working on a project. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to this board meeting and watch the video and see what was said. So, I think that might be a good resource that we could have available. I
think that's something that we could definitely consider with conversations with, again, not putting a teacher on blast.
I'd like to make a suggestion though.
Students participate, but also I didn't answer Angie's question about interpretation services.
That was me.
A little bit more, or sorry, Kelly, that's a little bit more challenging. Our current interpreters are not local. So we'll need to find local interpreters who can be present at the meeting. And then we need to
have a list of
interpretive.
people.
I have a list too, but we have to get the interpretive devices. And right now, I don't know where to procure those. That's not my area of expertise. So I will have to look into that and how quickly we can get those devices. So if you were intending on returning on March 16th, interpretation might be a little bit difficult. The only thing I would suggest is if you did want to return, maybe we could find out how many of our Spanish population would be attending that meeting so we could try to set up some type of interpretive services for them. It's kind of hard to know.
I was going to make the suggestion that sounds like we have some questions and we need to do some research. We have a meeting in 2 weeks and I don't know if we're going to have all that research back. What if we make a motion and have a vote to stay virtual at the next meeting, and then that gives us time to be prepared for however we want to do. The next meeting on March 16th, it's strictly budget surrounding. So I think we could probably add this item to the agenda. Karen, sorry, don't kill me, but just add this one item back to kind of talk about how we're actually going to do the meetings. That gives Jenny some time to kind of work through a couple of the questions and thoughts that she has about how to do that. Does everybody seem okay with that? I think that might be the best action.
I'll make a motion. That we, I guess, bring this topic back on March 16th for further consideration and
clarification, Kelly, sorry. You actually have to make a motion tonight to hold the meeting virtually.
Okay, I make a motion that we hold our March 16th meeting virtually with the intent that we would move to non-virtual meetings in April.
Perfect. Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Comments, questions from the board? Public comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Sasha, then Lori, and anyone else. Sasha, you have the floor. I'll start the clock behind you.
We're going to cut it off if they don't have their hands up. I'm sorry, Sasha. I did not mean to interrupt. But
yeah.
Get your
I was
hands
just
up
going
now,
to say.
and then that's it because I want to keep this moving.
So you want Sasha, then Lori. So no
That's
other
it.
comments past that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Sorry,
Sasha, sorry, I just restarted your clock.
Okay, thanks. I don't think I need the full time. I just wanted to comment that someone had sent in a letter. A parent I know had sent in a letter to be read that was not read. And there was another parent who was waiting to make comment, and she got cut off about this issue. Extremely disappointed that you're considering keeping the meeting virtual after interrupting my time last time to passionately tell me that you were considering it. I think the general feeling about this board that makes it pretty daunting as a parent and a community member is that you feel pretty impervious to any feedback that you receive from anyone in your decision making. So it's not acceptable to have the meeting virtual. It's not acceptable to exclude people based on their medical status. This is all illegal and wrong. And I'm not going to keep saying the same thing over and over, but if you just decided to stay virtual, which I believe you just did, it's time for you to make some powerful decisions and do the right thing and stop waiting for these other authorities to tell you what to do and to do what is right for the community. The community wants to have in-person board meetings. I'm not just talking about people that have my very unpopular opinion, but in the groups that I'm in, people want you to have face-to-face board meetings. So if you can't even make a powerful decision about that, then that's what most of your constituents want. Then, it's like, are you really in service to this community? And it feels like you're not. So I don't have anything else to say, but that. So that was you might want to look for that letter, because that was my
letter, and I
understanding.
apologize. I'm running the meeting and trying to do everything.
Okay, if you could read that before the end, that would be most appreciated. Okay, thank you.
I will. That was my fault. I do have it in front of me, but I got a little overwhelmed. Do you want to have Lori speak and then I'll read the letter?
Yes, please.
Okay, Lori, restarting the clock. You have the floor.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I just wanted to second the motion. I like that you guys considered keeping the option for virtual. I think there are some people who would prefer to be able to view that or, and like you said, record for reference. I think that could be helpful. But I also think that it's really important, especially after 2 years of us being separated, that the community can regain our communication and our trust and the humanity of seeing people in person. I think that's a great first step if you guys could consider doing that as soon as possible. I do hear that there's a cost involved. I'm not sure that sounds like it was ever a problem before when it was the normal scenario. I guess maybe that I might have missed part of that, but I do understand you have to consider costs. I'm sure that there's a lot of COVID money running around, and maybe you guys can arrange to make that fit in, because I think the community input is extremely important. In fact, I think it's required for your ESSER funds for anything that you do that comes into the COVID safety plans and spending that money. I read the 78-page like instruction manual to the ESSER plan, and I do know that you have to revisit that plan frequently, and you need to include stakeholder input, which does include parent input. And it seems to me it's hard to get that parent input, especially if, on this virtual forum, I can't tell you how many people, they are waiting for hours to get that 3 seconds. And if they miss that 3 seconds that you said, okay, it's time for public comment because there's things going on in their homes, or they thought it was going to be at one time and then things get extended. I mean, I'm sure you guys understand it's unpredictable. If we're there in the room, I think it's easier for you to see that there's people that are involved and engaged. And when we're not there in the room, I mean, I literally just saw this happen. You said, are there any hands? And then in 3 seconds, we got 2 hands up and then you closed it. I mean, how does somebody even get to the point where they can even push the right buttons in that short of time? So sorry if I sound upset, but I've attended a lot of meetings virtually, and I do get frustrated with that part of it, because it's just so hard for us to really see each other and hear each other. So I think the communications would improve, and I think the community input would be crucial to getting anything else going on with your, your LCAP and all of that. So I thought there was something else I was going to mention. Yeah, please, if you're going to do in-person meetings, do not discriminate and do not require any of those emergency use authorized devices, including vaccines. That would definitely be putting you guys, again, in a liable situation. I would recommend you guys consider when you open meetings, they, again, will just be open to everyone, Do not start putting yourselves in a position of be discriminating. That will not look good when everything starts opening up again, and we've got to fight that out. So again, good luck with that. I know you guys have a lot of decisions to make. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Lori. And then I did get, hold on, I gotta open that screen. I had too many screens open. The letter was regarding the COVID safety plan. So it was the prior item. I do apologize. I did get this, but I forgot. It's from Michelle Ramos, and it reads, our school board is discussing and considering updates to our district COVID safety plan tonight. Here are my comments for the school board, school staff, students, parents, and community to consider. Medical decisions should be made individually. Medical decisions should not be made globally. Medical decisions should be made with full informed consent on possible risk and benefits. Medical decisions should not be mandated. Mandated one-size-fits-all medical interventions, including masking, testing, and vaccinating, is dangerous, dictatorial, and discriminatory. Adults should not be coerced into putting something on or in their bodies to keep their jobs. Children should not be coerced into putting something on or in their bodies to attend school. I want the freedom to accept or reject any and all medical treatments, including masking, testing, and vaccinations for myself and for my minor children. The state and federal government, employers, merchants, groups, schools, institutions, and other entities should not be able to coerce me or my minor children to receive any medical intervention. I want full disclosure of the risks and benefits of any medical intervention, including screening tests, drugs, devices, surgeries, and vaccines to be provided to any consumer prior to the delivery of those services. I stand for health, freedom, informed decision-making, and choice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny. We do have a motion on the floor. And with that, I'll call for a roll call vote. Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, first reading of proposed board policy 7151.2 public art policy. That's you, Jenny.
So this is the first reading of a new board policy regarding public art, murals, or any sculptures that would be added to the campus. This would detail out a process and for which the community, students, staff would request the ability to do that. And we kind of followed a couple other local, specifically Berkeley. Our former superintendent, Dr. Evans, recommended that we look at his policy when he was at Berkeley. And so we did, and we pretty much modeled it after that. But we also developed a form that would be submitted for review by a committee that would be convened at the request of art to be added to the campus. And then the final authority would be with the board. And I'm happy to answer any questions or make any suggested changes or edits to the policy and or the form that would be filled out.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Jenny on the policy?
I do, Patrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Jenny, I don't see anywhere in here where we put a disclosure that any art that is installed, whether it's a mural, a painting, or a sculpture, or whatever it might be, that it then becomes the property of the district. And I kind of think that we might want to include that in there.
I thought I did put it in there, so I'm just going to look at it, right?
I've read it a couple times and didn't see it, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I know you and I talked about that.
Hold on, I'm bringing up the draft policy. It's not letting me review it. And why would my technology work at 8:57? Karen, I can't figure out why it's not letting me look at the attachments.
Well, this is just a first reading, so maybe you can just reread it and make sure for next time it's in there.
I specifically put it in there because that's where I can absolutely do that. I'm just trying to pull. I don't know why it's not letting me pull up the policy. It's what?
Jenny, I can forward that to you.
Could you really quick?
That's easier, yeah.
Because I think that's one of the main reasons we were
It's in there. It's number 11. It says, and do you confirm that this artwork, once completed, will become the property of West Sonoma County Union High School District?
I don't have a number 11. All I go is to number 8.
It's on the draft form, not on the policy. If you look at the draft form.
Yeah, it's on the draft form. So I think what Jeannie's saying is like in the policy.
It needs to be in the policy.
It needs to be
can
in
be
the
on
policy,
the form.
not just in the application.
Yes, thank you, Kelly.
And I think that I added that. Karen, it's not coming through yet.
I don't see it on the actual policy, Jenny. It's okay. We can add that. That would be my suggestion, is that we add that into the policy. My next suggestion would be that the numbers in the policy would actually match the numbers on the form, right? So section 1 is the same as section 1 on the form, but that would be.
I have it right. I have it right here. So I'm going to share my screen because this is what I'm showing. So it's right here. This is the draft policy, date pending. Right down here. If artwork is approved, then the last paragraph right here.
Yeah, we don't have that.
It's not on our in our draft policy.
We don't have those 2 paragraphs under 8.
Okay, well, it's good that I'm showing you this then, because this also states proposals for the artwork are to be submitted to the superintendent or designee and must include a minimum of the public art request form and supplemental documents. Incomplete forms will not be reviewed or accepted. Upon receipt of the request, the district designee will convene the public art committee, a PAC, to review the request within 60 days or as soon as feasible. The PAC will make a recommendation to the district designee. The designee will prepare a written report for consideration by the West Sonoma County Union High School District Board of Education at the next available board meeting. The board will have the final approval. If artwork is approved, it then becomes the property of the West Sonoma County Union High School District. The artwork will be preserved as long as practical. School district and facilities are in need of maintenance, modernization, and construction over the course of time. The need to remove, repaint, or touch up artwork will be at the discretion of the West Sonoma County Union High School Districts. Efforts will be made to try to preserve artwork when and where practical. When it is not practical, district staff will take pictures to preserve the memory of the artwork and archive those pictures. Attempts will be made to contact the original artist prior to the removal. So I really made an effort to really clarify all of that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
that's really helpful.
Sorry, it didn't show up.
Ours doesn't have that.
That was like the most important part.
Yeah.
And Jenny, the number 9 on the application, it could be reworded a little bit differently.
How would you like me to reword it?
Maybe how will the proposed artwork be funded?
Okay. I didn't have an English teacher look it over.
Yeah. I meant to email you earlier today, so I wouldn't do that here, but I did.
It's fine. So yeah, this is just a first reading. We can bring it back on consent if everyone is good, or.
Yeah, I'm good. Any other questions? Do we have any comments from the public on this before we put to bed?
Seeing no.
Okay. This concludes our program this evening. So at this point, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.